The massive crystalline halls of the Galactic Consortium stretched endlessly into the darkness above, their walls pulsing with soft blue light that had witnessed 1,000 species rise and fall. Today, the air itself seemed to vibrate with tension. As representatives from across the galaxy gathered for an emergency session, Ambassador Veltar of the Hegemony stood before the central holographic projector, his 6 arms gracefully manipulating the display controls. The image that materialized above the council floor made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. A small blue-green world hung suspended in the light, spinning slowly around a modest yellow star. Sector designation: Sol 3, Veltar. Announced, his translator converting his harmonic speech into words every species could understand. The dominant life form has designated their world as Earth and themselves as humans. Scanner Prime Zixhai, a being whose crystalline body constantly shifted between transparent and opaque, stepped forward. Data streams flowed across his surface like liquid light. Initial survey complete, Ambassador. The species appears technologically primitive. They have achieved basic spaceflight using chemical combustion engines, but remain confined to their home system. No faster-than-light capability detected. A low growl rumbled from the warrior section of the hall. Commander Vorthak of the militant Ravager caste rose to his full imposing height, his scaled armor catching the chamber's ethereal glow. Each of his 4 eyes burned with predatory intensity as he slammed his massive fist against the council table, sending vibrations through the crystalline structure. Primitive? Have you analyzed their communication networks? Vorthak's voice carried the weight of countless battles. I have spent cycles studying their data transmissions. These creatures wage endless war against their own kind. Their entertainment glorifies violence. Their history is written in blood. They create weapons capable of destroying their entire world, yet continue building more. The chamber filled with nervous chittering and mechanical clicks as various species processed this information. The insectoid hive queen Zarneth's antennae twitched anxiously. If they fight among themselves so readily, what would they do to other species? Exactly my point, Vorthak continued, his tactical displays showing human military conflicts throughout history. Look at their war machines, flying metal beasts that rain death from above, massive vessels that cruise their oceans, bristling with weapons, ground vehicles designed for nothing but destruction. These are not the tools of a peaceful civilization. The projection shifted to show intercepted human broadcasts. Images of explosions, military parades, and conflict zones flashed across the display. Several delegates recoiled at the sight. They call it entertainment, Vorthak spat. Violence as recreation. Stories of conquest and domination. Even their fictional works celebrate the destruction of other worlds, other species. We have protocols for dangerous species. One surgical strike, and this threat is eliminated before it can spread beyond their system. The hall erupted in debate. Some species nodded in agreement, while others appeared uncertain. The crystalline walls pulsed faster, responding to the rising emotional energy in the chamber. Then, from the deepest shadows of the ancient section, a voice emerged like wind through forgotten ruins. The Elder Keeper, last of the primordial race, raised one trembling appendage. Her species had witnessed the birth of the galaxy itself, had seen civilizations rise to greatness and crumble to dust. When she spoke, even the most aggressive warriors fell silent. Wait, she whispered, yet her words carried to every corner of the vast hall. Study them first. Do not act in haste. There are old memories buried in the deep archives, genetic markers in their DNA that suggest. Her ancient eyes, older than most stars, seemed to focus on something beyond the present moment. The bioscanners had detected something troubling in human genetic sequences, patterns that matched fragments of data from the forbidden archives. Superstition, Vorthak interrupted, his patience exhausted. Elder, with respect, your kind sees shadows of the past in every new species. These creatures barely qualify as sentient by our standards. They haven't even discovered quantum mechanics or dimensional folding. One focused assault, perhaps a redirected asteroid, and the problem disappears before it becomes a galactic threat. The Elder Keeper's form seemed to shimmer as she accessed deeper memory banks. Images flickered around her, ancient symbols, star charts, genetic sequences that made even the advanced AIs of the consortium struggle to process. "Some stones," she said, her voice now carrying harmonics that resonated through the crystalline walls themselves, "should not be overturned. Don't you dare to kill humans. There are things in the deep archives, warnings left by species that came before us, genetic echoes of something that once—" But her words were lost in the rising tide of debate. Species after species voiced their opinions. The Peaceful Harmony Collective advocated for standard first contact protocols. The merchant guilds worried about trade disruption. The scientific castes wanted extensive study periods. Hours passed as the great democracy of space argued. Finally, Veltar called for order. The vote was close, but caution won over aggression by the narrowest of margins. Monitoring stations would be deployed throughout the human solar system. Cloaked observation posts would study human behavior, technology, and potential threat level. As the session concluded and delegates began filing out through various dimensional portals and transport tubes, the Elder Keeper remained behind. Her fingers danced over ancient control surfaces, accessing archives so old their original creators had been forgotten. The message she transmitted to the deepest vaults of galactic memory was simple. They would not listen to the warnings. The EI Watchers are in place. May the galaxy forgive what comes next. In the darkness between stars, invisible ships began their journey toward the small blue world, carrying sensors and weapons in equal measure. None of them noticed the faint energy signatures emerging from Earth's moon, or the way human deep space probes had suddenly begun changing course toward the outer system. The first move had been made in a game whose rules neither side truly understood. Captain, June floated in the cramped cockpit of the deep space probe, Soul Explorer, his magnetic boots keeping him anchored to the metal floor. The spacecraft hummed quietly around him, its instruments casting a soft blue glow across his weathered face. For 3 months, he had been humanity's most distant representative, pushing further into space than any human had ever gone before. The probe itself was a marvel of human engineering, packed with sensors, communication arrays, and enough supplies to keep one person alive for 6 months. Its sleek hull bore the scars of countless micrometeor impacts, while solar panels stretched out like metallic wings, drinking in the distant sunlight. "Another day in paradise," June muttered, checking the navigation display. Earth was now just a pale blue dot on his rear sensors, barely visible against the cosmic backdrop. The asteroid belt spread out before him like a field of ancient rubble, each rock telling the story of the solar system's violent birth. His radio crackled to life with the familiar voice of Lieutenant Hana from Mission Control back on Earth. Despite the 3-hour communication delay, her presence made the endless void feel a little less lonely. "Soul Explorer, this is Houston Control. We're tracking some unusual readings from your sector. Can you confirm your position relative to asteroid designation Charlie 77? June pulled up the tactical display, watching as green dots marked known asteroids around his position. Everything looked normal, just another collection of space rocks drifting in their eternal dance around the sun. "Control, position confirmed. I'm about 50 kilometers spinward of Charlie 77, all instruments reading normal. What kind of unusual readings are you picking up?" The delay stretched longer than usual before Hana's voice returned, carrying a note of concern. "We're seeing some kind of energy signature near your position. It's not matching any known natural phenomena. Recommend you investigate, but maintain safe distance." June felt his pulse quicken. First contact protocols flashed through his mind, though he tried to push down the excitement. More likely it was just some kind of unusual solar activity, or maybe a piece of old space junk, giving off unexpected radiation. He fired the maneuvering thrusters, feeling the gentle push as the probe changed course toward the anomalous readings. The asteroid field around him seemed to grow denser, shadows and light playing tricks on his eyes as he navigated between the floating mountains of rock and ice. "Control, I'm picking up that energy signature now. It's definitely artificial. The pattern is too regular to be natural." June's instruments were going crazy, showing readings he'd never seen before. "It's almost like something is actively scanning the area. That's when his proximity alarm started screaming. The energy reading spiked suddenly off the charts. Every instrument on the Soul Explorer began flashing red warnings. The navigation system started spinning wildly, unable to lock onto any reference points. Outside his windows, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. "Control, I'm losing navigation. Something's interfering with all my systems." June's hands flew over the controls, trying to regain stability. The probe was tumbling now, spinning slowly as its guidance systems failed one by one. The hull groaned ominously around him. Whatever was out there, it was powerful enough to disrupt every piece of technology on his ship. The radio filled with static, cutting off his connection to Earth. For the first time in months, June was truly alone. That's when he saw it. For just a moment, the space in front of him shimmered like heat waves rising from hot asphalt. The distortion revealed the outline of something massive, a structure that definitely wasn't natural. It looked like a space station, but built with technology far beyond anything humans had ever created. Curved surfaces, covered in strange markings. Arrays of sensors and equipment that defied understanding. "What the hell?" June breathed, reaching for his camera controls. But the Soul Explorer was already committed to its trajectory. The failed navigation systems had sent the probe tumbling directly toward the mysterious structure. June fought with the controls, firing thrusters in desperate attempts to change course, but it was too late. The impact was devastating. The Soul Explorer's reinforced hull crumpled like paper against an invisible barrier. Metal screamed and tore as the probe punched through some kind of energy field, its momentum carrying it directly into the alien structure. Sparks flew as systems overloaded. The air filled with smoke and the bitter smell of burning electronics. On the other side of that barrier, sensor operator Kyleth watched his world explode into chaos. The monitoring station had been perfectly concealed for months, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to human detection. Now alarms were screaming throughout the facility as the human vessel tore through their defenses like they were made of tissue paper. Kyleth's 4 eyes darted between his instruments as they died one by one. The impact had ruptured their primary power conduits and destroyed half their sensor arrays. Atmosphere was venting into space through the massive hole punched in their outer hull. "Emergency protocols activated," he transmitted to the consortium. "Fleet, we are under attack. Human vessel has deliberately rammed our position. Repeat, this was a coordinated assault." The transmission raced through hyperspace, reaching Commander Vorthak aboard his flagship, Death's Edge. The massive warrior studied the tactical data with growing rage. The readings were clear. The human vessel had changed course directly toward their monitoring station, accelerated to ramming speed and struck with devastating precision. "Exactly as I predicted," Vorthak growled to his bridge crew. "The humans have revealed their true nature. They detected our observers and responded with immediate violence. No attempt at communication, no diplomatic contact. Pure aggression." Around him, his bridge came alive with activity. The Death's Edge was a kilometer-long instrument of war, its hull bristling with plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes. Hangar bays held squadrons of fighter craft, while Marines in powered armor prepared for planetary assault. "Signal the fleet," Vorthak commanded. "All ships are to assume attack formation. Target, the human homeworld. Mission parameters. Complete. Sterilization of hostile species." Within hours, 18 consortium warships dropped out of hyperspace and formed up around the flagship. Each vessel was a masterpiece of alien engineering, designed to crack planetary defenses and reduce civilizations to ash. Their combined firepower could turn Earth's continents into molten glass. As the fleet entered hyperspace, for the final jump to Earth, one last transmission reached Vorthak's communication system. The Elder Keeper's ancient voice carried across, the void heavy with sorrow and terrible knowledge. "Turn back, warriors. You sail toward your own destruction. The deep archives remember what humans truly are. You are not hunting prey. You are awakening predators." Vorthak's massive fist crushed the communication device. Old fears and ancient superstitions would not stop him from protecting the galaxy. The humans had struck first, proving their violent nature. Now they would face the consequences. The war fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying death toward a small blue world whose inhabitants had no idea what was coming. Behind them, The damaged monitoring station drifted silent and dark, its sensors no longer watching the species that had just changed the fate of the galaxy forever. In the wreckage of the Soul Explorer, Captain June's emergency beacon continued, transmitting, sending a desperate signal toward Earth with news of first contact. But the message would arrive too late to prevent the coming storm. The misunderstanding was complete, and the galaxy would never be the same. President Park stood 300 meters beneath the bustling streets of Seoul, surrounded by reinforced concrete and steel that could withstand a direct nuclear strike. The emergency bunker hummed with activity as military personnel rushed between workstations, their faces illuminated by the glow of dozens of tactical displays. The air tasted of recycled oxygen and fear. Above them, satellite feeds showed 18 massive alien warships approaching Earth in perfect formation. Each vessel was over a kilometer long, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange symbols pulsed along their surfaces, and weapon ports gaped like hungry mouths waiting to feed. General Kim, a veteran of 3 decades of military service, had never seen anything that filled him with such dread. His weathered hands shook slightly as he manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on the alien fleet's approach vector. 18 capital ships, unknown class, Kim reported to the assembled world leaders, connected via quantum-encrypted channels. Their technology is beyond our current understanding. Each vessel appears to carry enough firepower to level a continent. They've ignored all communication attempts on every frequency we've tried. President Park studied the tactical readouts with growing horror. The alien ships were arranged in a classic battle formation, their approach calculated to maximize destructive coverage across Earth's major population centers. This wasn't exploration or first contact. This was extermination. Sir, Communications Officer Bin burst into the briefing room, his face pale with shock. We're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. It's being broadcast on every channel simultaneously. Radio, television, internet, even emergency frequencies. The main screen flickered, and suddenly the bunker was filled with an alien presence. The creature that appeared before them was nightmare-made flesh. 4 burning eyes set in a scaled face, massive fangs gleaming in a mouth designed for tearing meat. When it spoke, the translator's mechanical voice somehow made the words even more terrifying. "Primitive humans of the 3rd planet," the alien commander began, its voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "I am Vorth Ak of the Ravager caste. Your species has committed an act of war against the Galactic Consortium. You attacked our monitoring station without provocation, proving your violent nature." President Park felt ice form in his veins. The Soul Explorer mission had been peaceful scientific exploration. Whatever had happened out there, it certainly wasn't an attack. The alien continued, its 4 eyes seeming to stare directly through the screen at each human watching. "You have 2 choices. Surrender immediately and submit to sterilization, or face complete extinction. You have one of your time units called hours to decide. Choose wisely, for this is the only mercy you will receive." The transmission ended, leaving the bunker in stunned silence. Around the world, similar scenes played out in government buildings, military bases, and homes as humanity received its ultimatum. Dr. Sung, humanity's leading xenobiologist and the woman who had spent her life dreaming of first contact, studied the alien ship designs with growing understanding. Her expertise in evolutionary biology and space-based warfare had prepared her for this moment, though she'd never imagined it would come under such circumstances. "Look at their ship configurations," she said, pointing to the tactical display. "These vessels are built for precision strikes against static targets, orbital bombardment platforms designed to destroy cities and military installations that can't fight back. They expect us to panic, to surrender like other species they've encountered." Her analysis was interrupted by reports flooding in from around the globe. Every military installation was reporting the same thing. The alien ships were positioning themselves for maximum destruction coverage. They planned to turn Earth into a lifeless rock. President Park looked around the room at the faces of his advisors, military commanders, and scientists. These were the people responsible for humanity's survival, and in their eyes he saw not fear, but determination. The same spirit that had driven humans to explore dangerous continents, to climb impossible mountains, to reach for the stars themselves. He activated the global communication system, knowing his next words would reach every human on Earth and beyond. Military bases on Mars, research stations on the Moon, even the tiny colony ship that had just departed for Alpha Centauri, all would hear this message. "Fellow humans," Park began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "We face extinction at the hands of an alien force that believes we are weak. They think we will surrender because we are afraid. They are wrong." His words were being translated into every human language simultaneously, broadcast on every available channel. In bunkers and bases, on ships and space stations, humanity listened. "We do not surrender. We do not run. We fight." What happened next would echo through galactic history for millennia to come. Humanity's response defied every prediction the aliens had made. Within minutes of Park's declaration, every human military asset was moving. Naval vessels launched from harbors around the world, their nuclear missiles repurposed for space combat. Air forces scrambled every available aircraft, modifying them with hastily attached rocket boosters for atmospheric escape. But it wasn't just the military that responded. Civilian cargo ships, their holds filled with improvised explosives, blasted off from spaceports worldwide. Mining vessels, their industrial drills converted into weapons, raced toward the alien fleet. Even passenger liners joined the assault, their life support systems overridden to pack in more volunteers. The space around Earth became a swarm of human vessels, none designed for combat, all determined to fight. They didn't have shields or energy weapons or faster-than-light drives. What they had was something the aliens had never encountered before. "For Earth," came the battle cry that echoed across every human communication channel. The words were repeated in Korean, English, Spanish, Arabic, Mandarin. Every language of humanity united in defiance. The first wave of human vessels struck the alien fleet like a metallic tsunami. Cargo ships rammed directly into alien hulls, their nuclear reactors set to overload on impact. Fighter jets, their fuel tanks replaced with explosives, dove straight into alien weapon ports. The converted passenger liner New Seoul crashed directly into the bridge of an alien cruiser, its hull packed with 10,000 tons of industrial explosives. Commander Vorthak watched from his flagship's bridge as his carefully planned assault dissolved into chaos. These weren't the tactics of a civilized species. These humans were fighting like something wild and primal, something that cared nothing for their own survival as long as they could hurt their enemies. "This is impossible," his tactical officer reported. "They're using their own vessels as weapons. No rational species would sacrifice so many ships." The alien fleet's precision weapons were designed to destroy static targets, not to engage thousands of small, fast-moving suicide ships. Their powerful shields meant nothing when human vessels rammed directly through them. Their advanced targeting systems couldn't track the sheer number of attacking craft. One by one, alien ships began to fall. The massive vessel, Galactic HFY, broke apart when a human mining ship, its fusion reactor overloading, tore through its central hull. The cruiser, Death's Promise, lost all power when 3 converted cargo vessels struck its engine core simultaneously. As his own flagship shuddered under repeated impacts, Vorthak finally understood the Elder Keeper's warning. These weren't the actions of a primitive species. This was something else entirely, something that fought with the fury of ancient nightmares, something that would rather die than kneel. The bridge around him filled with smoke and sparks as human vessels continued their relentless assault. His beautiful, efficient war machine was being torn apart by what should have been helpless prey. As the Death's Edge began to break apart around him, Vorthak's last thought was of the Elder's words. Some stones should not be overturned, but it was far too late for regrets. The awakening had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Day stood on the bridge of the massive alien dreadnought, his reflection caught in the polished surfaces of technology that had once belonged to humanity's enemies. 6 months. Ergo, this ship had been called Galactic Destroyer in the alien tongue, one of the most feared vessels in the consortium fleet. Now it bore the name Incheon's Revenge, its hull painted with human symbols and scarred by the modifications that made it even deadlier than its original creators had intended. The bridge around him buzzed with activity as human crew members worked alongside captured alien systems. Banks of quantum computers hummed with processing power beyond Earth's wildest dreams, while holographic displays showed star charts spanning half the galaxy. The fusion of human determination and alien technology had created something entirely new, something that terrified the species who had once considered themselves the masters of space. "Admiral!" Navigator Wu called from her station, her fingers dancing across alien control interfaces that human engineers had redesigned for human use. Long-range sensors are picking up a consortium supply convoy, 12 light-years spinward, moving through the Kepler Nebula, 3 heavy transports, 2 escort cruisers. Day studied the tactical display that materialized before him. The convoy was following standard consortium routes, probably carrying supplies to one of their remote outposts. 6 months ago, those ships would have been untouchable, protected by shields and weapons that no human technology could penetrate. Now they were just another target in humanity's relentless campaign. "Time to intercept?" Day asked, his voice carrying the cold efficiency that had made him one of Earth's most feared naval commanders. "If we jump to hyperspace now, we can catch them at the edge of the vortex system," Wu replied, pulling up trajectory calculations. "They'll be trapped between the nebula and the gravity well, no escape routes." "Intercept course," Day ordered, without hesitation. "Signal the fleet, full stealth approach, no survivors." Around him, the bridge crew prepared for another hunt. These were no longer the desperate defenders who had fought off the alien invasion of Earth. These were apex predators, equipped with the most advanced technology in the galaxy and driven by a singular purpose that chilled alien observers to their cores. The Incheon's Revenge slipped into hyperspace along with its escort fleet of converted human vessels. Each ship had been modified with captured alien technology, creating hybrid warships that combined human ingenuity with alien engineering. They were faster, deadlier, and more efficient than anything either species had produced alone. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as humanity's hunt continued. Captain Nari commanded the stealth destroyer, Sol's Ghost, as it stalked alien scouts through the asteroid fields of the Outer Rim. Her ship was nearly invisible to sensors, its hull coated with adaptive camouflage that had been reverse-engineered from captured alien technology. "Target acquired," her weapons officer reported. "Single scout ship, probably gathering intelligence on human expansion." "Lock weapons," Nari ordered. "One shot, clean kill. We don't want them sending any warnings." The plasma torpedo that struck the alien scout ship was completely silent in the vacuum of space, but its effects were devastating. The vessel simply ceased to exist, vaporized by weapons that had once been used against Earth's cities. On the surface of a captured consortium world, Colonel Tay led his ground forces through the abandoned alien city. The crystalline spires that had once housed millions of aliens now stood empty, their occupants evacuated in panic when human ships appeared in orbit. Tay's soldiers moved through the streets with mechanical precision, planting charges that would reduce the entire settlement to rubble. "Sir, we've located their data center," Sergeant Min reported, gesturing toward a massive building that pulsed with energy patterns. "Intel suggests it contains star charts for this entire sector." "Strip it clean," Tay ordered. "Every bit of data, every star map, every piece of intelligence, then burn it all down." The human soldiers worked with cold efficiency, downloading terabytes of alien information before setting their charges. When the building exploded, it took with it centuries of consortium expansion plans and defensive strategies. In the depths of space, Major Hyun commanded a fleet of stealth ships that appeared like phantoms throughout consortium territory. These vessels used captured cloaking technology to remain invisible until the moment they struck. Trading posts, research stations, communication relays all became targets in humanity's systematic campaign of destruction. "Multiple targets on scope," his sensor operator reported. "Looks like a mining operation. 6 facilities, maybe 200 personnel." "Light them up," Hyun ordered. "Standard protocol, no witnesses, no survivors." The stealth ships decloaked simultaneously, their weapons charging with deadly energy. The mining facilities never had a chance to send a distress signal before they were reduced to expanding clouds of superheated gas. The galaxy was learning to fear the sight of human vessels. Unlike other species that conquered for territory or resources, humans seemed driven by something far more terrifying, pure methodical vengeance. They struck without warning, left no survivors, and vanished back into the void before help could arrive. On the consortium homeworld, emergency coordinator, Zalmon studied casualty reports with growing horror. His multiple arms trembled as he processed the data flowing in from across their territory. Entire sectors had gone dark. Supply convoys simply disappeared. Military outposts fell silent one by one. "They don't seek territory," he reported to the Emergency Council, his voice barely above a whisper. "They don't demand resources or tribute, they simply eliminate us wherever they find us. It's like they're hunting us to extinction." The other council members shifted nervously in their seats. The consortium had faced rebellions before, conquered species that fought back. But this was different. The humans fought with a systematic brutality that left no room for surrender or negotiation. Deep beneath the planet's surface, in archives older than most civilizations, the Elder Keeper accessed records that had been sealed for millennia. Her ancient fingers moved across control surfaces that predated the consortium itself, calling up genetic analysis data that made her crystalline form tremble with recognition. The truth was there in the biological scans, hidden in the complex chains of human DNA. Genetic markers that matched fragments in the deepest archives, patterns that told a story the galaxy had forgotten. They were never gone, she whispered to the empty halls around her. The Terran hegemony, the warrior race, that once ruled through strength and fear. They didn't vanish. They were sleeping, seeded across distant worlds, waiting. The records painted a picture of terror. Eons ago, a species had conquered the galaxy not through technology or numbers, but through pure, relentless aggression. They had ruled until they grew tired of war and simply walked away, scattering their children across the stars to sleep until some threat awakened them. Now they were awake again, and they remembered why the galaxy had once knelt before them. Feet. Hunt continued across 1,000 worlds. Human ships struck like lightning, appearing from hyperspace to deliver death before vanishing again. The message was always the same, broadcast on frequencies every species could understand. You attacked us, now you face extinction. There would be no mercy, no negotiation, no surrender. Humanity had awakened from its long sleep, and the galaxy would burn until the debt was paid in full. The age of human dominance had begun again, written in starfire and sealed with the silence of empty worlds. 5 years had passed since the first alien ship had appeared in Earth's skies, and the galaxy bore the scars of humanity's awakening. Fleet Admiral Ray stood in the reconstructed council chamber of what had once been the mighty Galactic Consortium, her uniform bearing the insignia of the new Terran Federation. The massive crystalline hall had been redesigned with human efficiency in mind, its soaring spires now supplemented with practical human architecture. Where once dozens of alien species had debated the fate of worlds, now only 7 remained. The great seats that had held representatives from across the galaxy sat empty, their former occupants reduced to stellar dust or fled to the darkest corners of space. The survivors huddled in the center of the vast chamber, their various forms trembling before the human delegation. "The war is over," Admiral Ray announced, her voice carrying through translation matrices that converted her words into every surviving language in the galaxy. "Your fleets are destroyed. Your military installations have been eliminated. Your worlds are under constant surveillance by our patrol fleets." The holographic displays around the chamber showed the current state of galactic civilization. Red zones marked former consortium strongholds that now lay in ruins. Blue sectors indicated areas under human protection, where trade flourished and conflicts had ceased. Green points of light showed human colonies spreading across former alien worlds, bringing order to systems that had known only chaos. "You have 2 choices," Ray continued, her tone carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Accept humanity's protection and live under our rules, or face the same fate as those who chose to continue fighting. Ambassador Kelthar of the Peaceful. Coalition, one of the few species that had immediately surrendered when human fleets appeared in their skies, trembled as he spoke. His insectoid form clicked nervously as he struggled to find words that might save what remained of his people. What are your terms, Admiral?" he asked, his translator struggling to convey the fear in his alien voice. "We have seen what happens to those who resist. Entire star systems reduced to lifeless rock, civilizations that existed for millennia erased in hours." Dr. Choi, humanity's chief diplomat and one of the architects of the new Galactic Order, stepped forward. Unlike the military officers around her, she wore civilian clothing, but her presence carried just as much authority. She had been instrumental in crafting the rules that would govern the new galaxy. "Our terms are simple," she began, her voice calm but firm. "No species under our protection will be enslaved, exterminated, or conquered by others. Any species that attempts genocide, slavery, or unprovoked warfare will be eliminated completely. You are free to trade, explore, and develop your civilizations as you see fit." She gestured to the holographic displays showing peaceful alien worlds. "Look at the Harmony Collective. They surrendered immediately and accepted our protection. Their trade routes are secure, their colonies are expanding, and they haven't suffered a single casualty since joining our sphere of influence." The display shifted to show bustling alien cities, trade ships moving safely between systems, and research stations pursuing scientific advancement without fear of attack. It was a stark contrast to the chaos and constant warfare that had defined the old consortium. "But remember," Dr. Choi added, her tone hardening, "we are always watching. Our patrol fleets monitor every system. Our intelligence networks reach into every corner of known space. Step out of line, threaten innocent lives, and you will discover why the galaxy once feared the name human." From the shadows of the ancient archives, the Elder Keeper approached the human delegation. She was the last of her kind, her species, having been among the first to recognize the truth about humanity's origins. Age had bent her crystalline form, but her eyes still held the wisdom of eons. "Your ancestors ruled this galaxy once before, long ago," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated through the chamber's crystalline walls. "They were called the Terran Hegemony, and they brought order through strength. But they vanished when they grew tired of war, scattering their children across distant worlds to sleep until awakened." She studied Admiral Ray with ancient eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. "The question that haunts me is this: will you repeat their path? Will you rule until you grow weary, then abandon the galaxy once more?" "Admiral." Ray considered the question carefully. Around her, human officers maintained their positions with military precision, while alien survivors waited fearfully for her answer. The weight of galactic civilization rested on her words. "Perhaps we will," she admitted. "But first we have a galaxy to fix. Too many species have suffered under the old order. Too many worlds have been enslaved or destroyed by those who believed. Might makes right." She gestured to the tactical displays showing human patrol fleets throughout known space. Sleek warships bearing Earth's insignia maintained order in systems that had known only chaos for generations. "Look at the results. Piracy has dropped by 90%. Slave raids have been eliminated entirely. Minor conflicts that might have escalated into system-wide wars are resolved through mediation rather than violence." The displays showed the transformation of galactic civilization. Trade routes that had been plagued by raiders now operated safely under human protection. Research stations explored the mysteries of the universe without fear of attack. Even former enemies worked together under humanity's watchful eye. Captain Yoon, commanding the patrol fleet in the Perseus Arm, reported typical daily activities. "Sector 77 clear. Merchant convoy proceeding on schedule. No hostile activity detected." Similar reports flooded in from across the galaxy as human ships maintained their eternal vigil. On distant worlds, the changes were even more dramatic. The planet Zelthara, once a slave world where millions had suffered under alien masters, now bustled with free trade and cultural exchange. Former slaves had become citizens, their talents finally recognized and valued. The insectoid Kelthar ventured another question. What of those who fled to the outer regions, the species that refused to acknowledge your authority? Admiral Ray's expression hardened. They are free to hide in the dark between stars. But if they ever threaten innocent lives again, if they ever attempt to rebuild their war machines or restart their campaigns of conquest, they will learn why running was their wisest choice. As the council session concluded, the surviving species filed out through dimensional portals and transport tubes, carrying word of the new order to their scattered peoples. Some went with relief, grateful for protection from the chaos that had defined their existence. Others departed with barely concealed resentment, already plotting ways to regain their former power. In the deepest archives of the ancient library, a new entry was recorded in the quantum matrices that preserved galactic history. Cycle 4147. Humanity has returned to the galactic stage. The Terran hegemony rises again under new leadership, but with familiar methods. Order imposed through superior force. The galaxy remembers why they once knelt before human might. The age of human supremacy begins again. Across known space, from the bustling trade hubs near Earth to the frontier colonies at the galactic rim, one message echoed through hyperspace communications on every frequency, in every language. Humanity is here. They are watching. They are protecting those who deserve protection and eliminating those who threaten the innocent. Don't make them angry. The new galactic order had been established, built on the foundation of overwhelming human military superiority, but maintained through the promise of protection for those who chose peace over war. It was a system carved in starfire and written in the wreckage of those who had tested humanity's resolve. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans were no longer the primitive species confined to a single world. They were the apex predators of space, the guardians of galactic peace, and the final arbiters of interstellar justice. The warning had been given, and it would not be repeated. The end.